Let's dive deeper into the action with our markets reporters. Abigail, what are you watching?
Joe, not surprisingly, I'm thinking about the S&P 500, 3,000, the possibility of new records highs ahead, because this chart that we've been watching for many, many weeks is starting to turn even more bullish than it was last week. This is a one-year chart. Here's this year's big rally out of last year's downtrend. And then you see right around May on trade concerns and the Fed, we've been in this range that everybody's been talking about. But making this range bullish is the fact that the lows, each one is higher. That tells you that the buyers are a little bit more confident on each dip. Equidistant highs tell you the sellers are about as confident as they had been before. A rising 200 DMA. You put that together with an RSI that appears to be ready to break out to the upside. All of this, Taylor, suggests that not only are we likely to stay above 3,000, but again, we may just have new record highs ahead, perhaps on earnings, Brexit, trade, so many factors to take into account, Taylor.
Well, Abigail, I'm taking a look at the tech sector, and so often we look at tech relative to the broader markets. I wanted to dive into tech and take a look at the FANG index. Some of the big FANG names are really underperforming the XLK ETF and the semiconductor ETF. The FANGs are only up about 20% year to date, as you can see, relative to the other two ETFs that are up 30 and 40% year to date. Now, why is this? Matt Maley over at Miller Tabak said the group is underperforming broadly as a whole because of a lot of scrutiny, as we know, around next year's election. In particular, Facebook is the big one as Zuckerberg heads to Capitol Hill on Wednesday. And then Netflix has been a big underperformer given the rising competition in this space. Now, I started off this conversation and I want to take a look at a chart here that I'm showing in my terminal at GTV Go about the FANGs relative to the broader market, because this is also a very similar story that we've been seeing. The FANGs here on my terminal are up about 19% relative to the S&P 500, up about 20%. So they're right on par, but they still are underperforming. Matt Maley, and again in his note this morning, saying that they do not like this group. They expect you to have to go outside those FANGs if you want to outperform the broader market for the rest of the year. Renita?
Thanks, Taylor. I'm taking a look at nickel, which slid to its lowest since around late August after fresh data from across Asia pointed to threats of slowing economic growth. Now, this came from South Korea and Japan, which showed that exports continued to drop in September. And the data also underscored worries on commodities demand. So far this year, nickel futures have risen close to 50%. During today's session, nickel's cash 3-month spread fell to a discount of $20, also the lowest since August. This signals that the short-term supply tightness is easing.